Approached the boy, but he rejected the kiss by turning his face away from the glory. The woman frowned annoyed and got out of the bathtub. Midoriya was left with his face in a tomato sauce. Miss Ryuko wanted to kiss him and he refused. Anyone would think he was an idiot. But he decided that if that ever happened with the MILF or any other woman, she should be in her purest state. He stood up from the tub, grabbed a towel, flipped it over his naked, toned body as he walked out of the bathroom. He looked around for the woman but only found wet footprints, so he decided to follow the clues. When he got to the end of these, he saw Ryuko lying on his bed. If he didn't know she was drunk, he would surely have been alarmed. She looks dead. He covered her up and lay down on the couch in the living room. The sun's rays hit his eyes, causing him to wake up. When he opened his eyes, the first thing he felt was the terrible headache. Then, he got out of bed sitting on the edge. She walked to the kitchen and poured herself a glass of coffee. She sat on the high chair at the bar to enjoy her drink until Izuku walked past her half naked. The only thing covering his lower half was a towel. "Why are you half naked in my house?" the blonde asks, taking a sip of her drink without taking her eyes off him. The green-haired boy blushed as he took a bath and covered the front of his body. "Don't you remember anything from yesterday?" the boy asked as he left the place. The blonde tried to remember something, but nothing. They were small fragments of her night and almost all of them were spent drinking. Suddenly there was a knock on the door, so she got up and walked to it. When she opened the door on the other side, there was Nemuri with a vein on her forehead. "Cheater," the blue-haired girl complained as she walked into the house, leaving the blonde speechless. She closed the door and followed her friend. "How do you know she's here?" Ryuko asked curiously, putting her hand on her chin. Nemuri turned around and looked at her with a smile. "Nehire-san told me, she came to look for you in the morning and he took care of her," said the blue-haired girl while she sat at the kitchen counter and waited for her date. Izuku's POV. Sunday, January 5th. I'm in the heroine Ryuko's room. I helped her out last night when she was drunk and ended up dragging myself here. Right now I'm putting on my casual clothes that I have. I hide my hero outfit in a bag and I leave the room. When I go down the stairs, the first thing I see is the beautiful woman Ryuko taking sips of her drink, and at the other end my sensei. She is wearing a white blouse that reaches just before her knees. Our eyes meet and she stands up, revealing her well-defined body. "Sensei? What are you doing here?" I asked, a little intrigued, since it's not normal to find your sensei in the house of a woman and heroine. It wasn't normal for me to be here either. "That's my question. I came to have a drink with my friend," she said, showing me a cup and shrugging her shoulders. "Oh, I helped Miss Ryuko yesterday and I was dragged to spend the night here," I said with all my sincerity and taking a weight off my shoulders. She nodded, left her cup on the bar and walked towards me. "Since I am your sensei, I will make sure you get home safely," she said, putting her hands on my shoulders and leaving me speechless. "Can I go?" I was interrupted by his force taking me out of the house. I waved goodbye to Miss Ryuko and we left her house. "We'll go walking," she said, raising her face and looking proud of herself. "You don't have a car, right?" I say, taking away all her self-confidence. She lowers her head and looks away. "I don't have to because I don't want to," she said, pouting and crossing her hands, pretending to be upset. I let out a light laugh and she removes that serious face. "So you and Ryuko-sensei are friends?" I say, looking now at her, who seems to hesitate in her mind. "I've known her since I was a child. She, Mount Lady, and I are best friends," she said while an aura of happiness surrounded her. It really seemed like her eyes sparkled when she talked about them. "I never had a friendship like that," I said, smiling sadly while I remember the times when Kachan hit me. "You can be my friend," she said, causing me to turn around and look at the other end of the street. "No need, I already have solid friendships," I say, remembering Ida, Uraka and of course Nehire-senpai. "Still, it was all thanks to your advice," I say again, smiling kindly while my cheeks burned. "That advice? Was it that useful?" she says, surprised, and I nod my head 10 times quickly. "It really helped me," I say, stopping and seeing that I'm already outside my home. She seems to know this and stops in front of me. "Well then I'm glad, but I have another piece of advice," she said to my surprise as she got closer to my ear. "Open your eyes, in front of you there's a girl who's dying for you," she whispers in my ear as she waves at me and walks away. When I was entering my house I turned around and saw her for the last time. "One or maybe more," she shouted as I entered and closed the door. "TSK, I was supposed to have my date today but, thanks to Ryuko-san, I couldn't," the black-haired woman exclaimed, putting her hand on her chin and looking angrily away. "Calm down, you'll get wrinkles," you said jokingly, covering his mouth with his hand and letting out a giggle. It was a great coincidence to find him like this yesterday. The yellow-haired woman defended herself but only received a shriek from the brunette. You should have refused, Nemuri protested, looking into her eyes, fury overflowing in them. Ryuko. Where is Nehire-san? You asked, trying to break the tension of the moment. Her friend understood her intention and smiled. He had to take care of something at home, so he'll be late, the blonde explained, checking her cell phone in case something had changed. Is he going to be late? I can't stand being in this place anymore. We should go to your house, Ryuko, Nemuri said, leaving her empty glass on the round table and standing up. Okay, the heroine replied, standing up while leaving a bill on the table to pay for her drink. And that's how the trio of women left the bar where they always met. They walked to Ryuko's house while chatting about trivial things. When they arrived, Ryuko invited them in. She closed the door but Nemuri stopped her. Did you fall in love with the boy? The brunette asked, taking them both by surprise. What are you talking about? I'm just doing it for the bet, she answered while closing the door with her butt and crossing her arms. And you? The blonde countered. Nemuri looked to the side twice and then answered. Me? Fall in love with a boy? If it hadn't been for this stupid bet, I wouldn't have gotten involved with him, answered the black-haired woman. You tried to get between them both but their murderous looks prevented him. I think the same. Without this game I wouldn't have even exchanged words, Ryuko said, leaning against the door while letting out a deep sigh. Girls, you should calm down. You tried to calm them down again but both women turned around where he was in a murderous way. Do you have anything to contribute, conditioned blonde? They both said at the same time, causing you to get offended. For starters, I only put on conditioner when I go out somewhere, and secondly, stop fighting over a kid, the blonde said, raising her voice, causing everyone to fall silent. From the other side of the door, light knocks were heard. Oh, it must be Nehire-san, Ryuko said excitedly, opening the door, but when it opened, Izuku Midoriya was staring at the floor, his hair covering his eyes, and underneath him was a broken water bottle. The trio of women opened their eyes wide when they saw the boy there. The first to react was Ryuko, who tried to grab his hand but he rejected her hold. I came to see if you were feeling better. And I see that you are, Izuku said with his hoarse and muffled voice. Ryuko covered her mouth with both hands and tried to say something but nothing came out of her mouth. It's not what it seems, Izuku. Nemuri tried to speak but was interrupted by the green-eyed man. Isn't it what it seems? It seems to me that they were playing with my feelings, answered Midoriya, raising his voice and knocking on the side of the door. I don't want to see them anymore, he said darkly, turning around, but then he saw Nehire, who was looking at him with wide eyes. Midoriya, his voice was weak, it wasn't the same energetic voice as always. The green-haired boy walked past her, completely ignoring her, whispering something to her. You don't deserve the words I said to you, and with those last words he left the place. Halfway there he dropped into the middle of a park. Some children noticed this and approached him. One had glasses, his hair was blue and the girl was blonde. Are you okay? The little girl asked as she put down a melodica and lifted the green-haired boy with both hands. Sisi, Izuku responded quickly, getting up from the ground and looking at both children. I'm leaving, he said as he left the square at full speed. When he got home, his mother had left dinner on the table, a letter resting on his plate. He ignored all of that and walked up the stairs to reach his room. He fell onto his bed, millions of notifications coming to his cell phone, but all of them were ignored by the green-haired boy. Several tears came out of his eyes. I was an idiot, he said as his voice broke completely, letting out everything that happened that day, and it stayed there all night. The next day he woke up and went to school. He walked like a zombie to the academy. When he arrived, everyone was looking at him strangely. Uraka was the first to act, taking her friend by the hand and leading him to a hallway where there was no one. Damn it, Deku, you should comb your hair before coming, she said jokingly as she wet her hands and tried to tidy up that bush of hair. Get your hands off me, Izuku said, moving his face and causing a response from the brunette. You're an idiot, I'm your friend. I would never let them laugh at my friend, much less at you. Her words were like a bandage on his heart, her words so warm, so real. Izuku closed her eyes and let Uraka help her. Thanks for being real, the green-haired boy thanked, letting out a happy sigh. Suddenly, footsteps were heard walking away. When the duo turned around, they saw a head of light blue hair leaving. Izuku smiled satisfactorily and understood what he had to do from now on. I'll get paid for this, he whispered so that Ochako couldn't hear him. His life took a 180-degree turn. The real bet would begin now. 5 days have passed since Izuku found out about the bet involving 4 women. He believed that they had really noticed his feelings, but it was just a stupid game. But he discovered that at least one of them has feelings for him and she wouldn't stay with her hands crossed. He arrived at the academy with his new friend Mirio Tagata. The blonde boy is part of the big three of the UA where Nehire is also. Tell me, Midoriya. What made you decide to talk to me? The blonde asked, looking into the emerald green eyes of his new friend. Izuku no longer had that happy and calm expression. I thought you were a good guy and I don't regret it, the green-haired man lied, which made his friend laugh, running his hand over the green-eyed man's shoulders. As they walked through the halls of the academy, a head of light blue hair caught the attention of both boys. The student ran towards her friend and classmate. Hey Mirio-san, we have to meet. Nehire was paralyzed when she saw Midoriya next to his friend. The green-haired boy ignored his presence and took advantage of the opportunity that Itsuka Kendo, president of Class 1B, was passing by. Hey Itsuki-san, the green-haired man called her. When the woman turned around, they started a conversation while the blue-haired woman was dying of jealousy. The bell rang indicating the start of classes and both friends waved goodbye, but not before Izuku winked at Nehire. All the students sat down. Professor Midnight entered the classroom and instantly made eye contact with Izuku. She looked away, causing the boy to smile, feeling superior. Hello students, Today we will have hero training since only for today the heroine Mirko will accompany us, the black-haired girl said awkwardly while at the same time the door broke and there you could see the rabbit heroine Mirko. Good morning tadpoles, today I will help you train, said the albino, showing everyone how powerful her legs are when breaking a door. Add it to my list of things to pay, she whispered to Midnight while the adult sighed. Everyone followed the heroine into the courtyard, Izuku moving forward a little to try to talk to the woman. Hello Mirko, the green-haired man greeted, causing the heroine to turn to look him in the eyes. Hello tadpole, said the albino, causing some annoyance on the green-haired boy's face. Don't call me a tadpole, my name is, the green-haired boy commented until the heroine's hand covered his mouth. I'm not interested in your name for now. When you can prove to me that you are a real man I will call you by your name tadpole, said the albino, causing each word to stick in the boy's heart, who remained serious. The rest of the trip was in silence for both of them. When they arrived at the event simulation unit, the heroine stood in the center of a circle in a battle pose. Today's challenge is for at least one of you to hit me, you'll come alone and if I manage to get you out of the circle you lose, the rabbit woman said in a challenging voice. Ka-chan was the first to act and advanced with several explosions. Mirko got ahead of his explosions and gave the blonde a side kick that took him out of the circle. Everyone was amazed at the brutality of her kick. The albino pointed at Izuku and told him to attack her with everything. The boy charged his quirk, distributing proportions throughout his body, quickly advancing to the center, but Mirko moved forward again, preparing a powerful kick, but Izuku, before that happened, put all his power into both arms, being able to stop the woman's kick. She counterattacked by headbutting him in the head, leaving the green-haired boy stunned. Attack tadpole, Mirko shouted, causing Midoriya to advance again, but now doing a feint, leaving him behind the woman. She quickly turned around, blocking the green-haired man's kick with her hands. They both separated, taking breaths of air. Tadpole, said the albino while Izuku resumed his posture. What do you want? The green-haired boy asked, taking his fighting stance again. Don't let 4 women change you, Mirko said, causing the boy's eyes to open wide. He charged all his power into his 2 legs and from one moment to the next he was in front of the heroine. I told you not to call me tadpole, my name is Izuku Midoriya, the green-haired man shouted, kicking Mirko without blocking. The kick was so brutal that it knocked out the heroine and destroyed the entire stage. Midnight ran to grab the heroine by the arm so she could take her to Recovery Girl. Izuku crouched down and let his anger go in a sigh. How did she know that? He asked himself as he felt 2 warm arms surround his waist. Don't be so rude, Deku-kun, she said, opening her friend's eyes again. I slowly opened my eyes, taking a while to get used to the white light. My head is on something very comfortable. Am I in the hospital? No, I see the starry sky and a streetlight. I sit up and I get a big surprise when I see the green-haired boy asleep. Was he on his lap? I try to get out of there quietly, little by little. I stand up from the bench but break a branch with my foot. Oh, you're awake now, he said, stretching while yawning and closing his eyes. Tadpole, you hit hard, huh? I said, sitting next to him since my escape plan was a failure. You could have dodged or blocked it, but you let it hit you. Why? He asked, becoming serious and firm. My expression changed from playful to serious as well. Oh, did you notice? I thought it was a good performance, I said, letting out a light laugh to lighten the tension in the room. It was terrible, First you blocked my first blow and then the second one you stayed still. What are you playing at? Said the green-haired boy approaching me quickly, so close that his breath collides with my mouth. It's obvious. Nemuri asked me for help. She didn't tell me what happened, but she explained to me that she and 3 others injured you. I explained, giving all the information that my good friend told me. He stepped back, looking a little nervous, but then he came back with his serious aura. I didn't think you were one of those people who are asked for something and they do it, he said, changing my face to one of amusement. You were wrong, tadpole, I'm not one of those, I said, now approaching his mouth, leaving a centimeter of distance. I want you for myself, I said, separating now and standing up. So what are you going to do? He said, standing up at the same time as me and standing in front of me. I'm not like them, I won't play for you. I'll make you mine cleanly, I said as I ran away quickly so I could leave him behind. I reached a square and dropped onto a bench, my legs shaking and my heart beating fast. I took a deep breath and closed my eyes, calming myself down. I assumed so, said a voice behind me, upsetting me so much that I fell to the ground. When I opened my eyes, he is in front of me and I have his hand on my cheek. What do you need? I said awkwardly as I felt my cheeks burn like fire. I feel his emerald green eyes looking into my soul, his hand moves away from my cheek and he extends his hand to me. I take it and he smiles at me for the last time, leaving the place at full speed. Goodbye Izuku Midoriya. I arrived at a well-known bar in the city, since certain well-known women meet there to have a drink. When I entered, all eyes were on me. I walked to the table where the 4 most beautiful women in the city were sitting. Listen, I said, banging the table with both hands, getting the attention of the 4 of them. The first thing you should do is apologize to the boy, and second, give up, I commented while at the same time I left the bar. Help, they shout from afar. I start to run, reaching a reasonable speed. I'm sorry Izuku, if I wasn't a heroine I would try with you. But I don't have time for love. Since that day, during the exam I was interested in you, but there were others ahead of me. Goodbye. Izuku's POV. I still have one more thing to finish. I ran until I reached a particular house, knocked on the door and a man with short, light hair came out. Hello, Mr. Uraka. Is Ochako here? I said, shaking hands with the man who appeared to be about 40 years old. Sure. What's your name? The man said, smiling from ear to ear. Tell him I'm Deku, I say as he shouts Ochako and some footsteps are heard coming down. The door opens completely and there I see the brunette girl. Hello Deku, she greeted me, giving me a kiss on the cheek. I gave her an empty smile. Hey Uraka-san. I have something to ask you, I say, stumbling over my own words. I don't want to hurt her, but I have to do it to make my feelings clear to her. Wait, she screams, silencing me completely. I figured you'd notice since I always do the same. I'll say it myself, she says while taking a few breaths. Yes, I like Ida-kun, she says in a low voice, leaving me in shock. 50. Oh, was the only thing that came out of my mouth. I really didn't expect that. I knew it, ha ha ha, I say, faking my laughter. I was paying attention to you because I wanted to ask you something. Could you help me with it? She said with 2 tears in her brown eyes. I wipe her tears with my fingers and smile from ear to ear. Of course, I say, causing her to jump with excitement. She took me by the hand and led me into her house. Mom. Dad. Meet Izuku, my best friend, she shouts as her parents peek out. I'm fine with being her best friend. What I would have said to her if she liked me was, I'm sorry, there are 4 women who drive me crazy.